Cute, sexy, and fun. You're watching CSF Nation's own WMK TV, Channel 90. Okay. All right. We got plenty to go over, so let's not waste too much time on this. Good morning, CSF Nation. I'm Makini 90 Sermon and Illustrator. Welcome you to another video here on the Makini. Welcome you to Makini in the morning. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Thank you all for being here. So the focus today is going to be on covering the U.S. side of this, censorship hoopla. That's the best way to put it. The U.S. side of this, the U.S. side of the censorship hoopla, because now they want in on it too. And we're going to hit two videos, one from Chibi Reviews, and then we're going to hit another video from one from Chibi Reviews, and then we're going to hit another video from tHe as well, Romania TV, Lack of Entertainment. And as we get right into it, there's a couple of tweets I also want to get into from Madam Savvy and a couple of others that have been posted yesterday as well. So listen, hope you guys having a good week. And meantime, of course, we're going to start on Kiki's redesign. By the way, I put up a little poll just asking you guys if you guys would like to see that little sketch we did yesterday as a work doodle short this week. Really appreciate all that support. You guys have been absolutely amazing. And by the way, I want to say thank you. We are officially at 3,400 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all. Thank you. And in the words of the and of course, in the words of the in the words of the great Jellywig.
Dangerous. Let's up those numbers!
Let's up those numbers. Anyway, you guys know exactly what to do. We got 4 people watching. We'll probably have more people trickle in as we go along, but let's up those numbers, and you guys know exactly how to do that.
Hey, if you're enjoying this program, please smack that like button and make a jiggle.
And smack that subscribe button if you want to see more art content from Makini. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoy the show.
Later.
Smack that like button, make it jiggle. Smack that subscribe button and make it jiggle as well. And while we're in, and speaking of which, while it is Makini in the morning, I know a certain person cannot get their morning started unless they get their feet stomping. Let's go ahead and let me turn on my playlist. I do need to make a morning playlist. I really do. Let's go ahead and turn the music up. There you go. Just for you guys. Keep it low. But it is playing. Thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and say hi to everyone before we get started. Power, good morning. Mr. Mazba, good morning. Rocky, good morning. Riot Kitty, good morning. And Emerald, good morning. Okay. So, that's what we're doing. We're going to switch over to the main screen. We're going to switch over to the main studio for this one, and we have plenty to go over in regards of the US versions of the Safety Act. But before we do that, let's just do a quick recap. Let's do a quick recap of everything that's been going on up until this point. So for the new people who haven't been, the people who are just new to this, let's do a quick recap. And as I find it, 1 second, guys. 1 second. Okay. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Here it is right here. Okay. Sorry about that. I was looking for my stylus. My apologies. Anyway. Okay. So to kick things off first, let's just do a quick. Oh my god. This is gonna be okay. So all right. One second. What's going on? What is going on? Hang on. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I got to adjust. Okay. So to recap, essentially all of this started with the feminist organization Collective Shout bragging about Steam going to payment processors to push Steam to shut down, push Steam to take down a bunch of adult-oriented titles on their platform. That's where it basically starts off with. These adult Collective Shout was bragging about it, and that led to a whole situations where they got, basically ripped to shreds and called out for their blatant hypocrisy and their authoritarian let's just go out this way, authoritarian ways of doing things, basically, and their mindset and such, because they think this was all somehow a front of. I'm just recapping. Good morning, Sean. I'm just recapping. Because for them it's all a front to for ushering more control, because they're that miserable, they're that pathetic. And essentially, it led to them being called out for, not only their authoritarian attacks and such like that, but also leading to, them defending cuties. But it became a bigger picture when we saw itch.io, which is a site that is very much heavy into hosting adult-oriented games, basically do a clean sweep and just get rid of or shadow ban all of their games, not just most of their games, but all of their adult games, some to the point where those games were actually being taken off completely. And now that you brought this up, I do want to bring up the effects of what happened with itch.io in a video from Lack of Entertainment as well, because this is that serious. Well, once the UK and once everything was bringing up to surface, now everything was being brought up to surface. UK, everybody's talking about the Steam going after it, Steam itch.io, and basically that it was a wake-up call that all of us, we're all under the thumb of the payment processors, we're all under the thumb of the payment processors, the not just payment processors, Visa and MasterCard, who basically just have a monopoly of control over, what we're allowed to purchase, what we're allowed to, they ultimately get to decide what we are allowed to purchase, what we're allowed to, let me go ahead and convert time-lapse record. What we're allowed to purchase, what we're allowed to share, what we're allowed to purchase, what we're allowed to buy, what we're allowed to view. And then a bomb dropped basically with the UK Online Safety Act, which was essentially UK wanting to enforce more censorship. UK wanting to enforce more censorship. UK wanted to enforce more censorship. What's in the guise of protecting kids. The fact that you have to require, now they want, legal IDs, legal IDs, basically in some cases having to, dox yourself just so you can, view adult sites and such like that in the UK and such. The fact that it went as so far as now the VPNs that people use to bypass this aren't working anymore. And this has gotten into a complete and utter insanity. And we brought this up, everybody was bringing this up, that it's only going to get worse because these groups have so much pull, because they don't know when to stop, and because even the payment processors don't know when to stop. You give them an inch, they take a mile. And now we're at the point where now the United States wants to get in on this. So I don't want to hear from, to anyone who is saying that, it's anyone who's still burying their head in the sand and saying that it's only happening in the UK. Well, guess what? It's happening here, and people have said it. I have said it, and we were all, I'm trying to sound doom and gloom Nostradamus here, but it was going to happen here eventually. Sooner or later, they're going to take what was going on in the UK, what they've been doing with the UK, and specifically also, if you want to get a little further than that, what they've been doing in China for years at this point, and bring that over here. So, and the thing is that US has been this, well, not just US, it's just the internet has been let's just say the internet has definitely been this last bastion of freedom, if you think about it. If in some cases internet freedom is under attack now. It's not, we're not in the early 2000s, we're not in the late 90s where it's, it was more of the Wild West. Now US wants to do the same thing that UK is doing under the guise of protecting kids. The same way that these feminist groups like Collective Shout wants to censor everything, wants everything, not just censor everything, but wants everything taken off the platform, everything that they don't like taken off the platform under the guise of protecting women and children and abuse victims. Like, you really cannot make this up. And, you know, everybody is mounting a pushback. This is something that has unified basically everyone at this point. And I mean, every single person is unified over this freaking censorship, over this issue. So what we're going to do next, and I'm going to put a link to the, if you guys want to go into further, if you guys want to go into full detail, if you guys want to read the full details of the Kids Online Safety Act, I will put a link into from Congress, link into the full documentation, so that way you guys can learn up on what is going on. But in the meantime, we're going to watch a couple of videos. We're going to react to Chibi Reviews' video, and we're also going to react to V's video, Romanian TV. And then we also have another video from V's secondary channel, Lack of Entertainment. We're all going to go into that as I am getting Kiki's body ready, getting everything ready, basically. So just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to put all of this. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to put everything in the chat so you guys can watch it yourself. Let me go ahead and switch over here. We're going to switch over here to the full link here. It's here. This the full. So this is the full. So this is in full documentation. That is the Kids Online Safety Act. And what we're going to do is we're going to react to. First up, we're going to react to is Chibi Review. So you guys have been. We're going to keep talking about this. You know, that's the whole thing. You know, we're going to keep talking about this because it's important to get everyone informed on this. Everybody informed on this subject. So let's go ahead and start with Chibi Reviews. And I found this out during our show yesterday on Makini Live. So yeah, I'm going to cover this. So here we go.
The current events before we talk about this bombshell that came out today and a lot of people are starting to talk about and find out about. So about a week and a half ago, Steam removed hundreds of games off their platform for payment processors like Visa and MasterCard, all in the name of brand protection. It was so powerful that Steam was forced to add an entirely new policy to basically say, we will kiss your boot, payment processors. We will do what you say. If you want us to remove any game that you think is going to hurt your brand, we will remove it instantly. Steam basically bent the knee. A few days after that, itch.io did the exact same thing. They removed their entire adult game catalog, thousands upon thousands of games. You know, customers, people that bought these games were discovering that they were no longer able to either play the games they bought, download the games they bought. You had developers that realized that they were no longer going to be able to make money. They lost their livelihood, and it left everybody confused until hours later, itch.io made an official statement saying that payment processors like Visa and MasterCard and also Collective Shout were responsible for why the entirety of the adult catalog had to be removed. And what this brought into question for everybody to see is that these payment processors like Visa and MasterCard have way too much power. They are straight up a
and the thing is that the thing is that it's a very hard it is easy to go after sites like itch.io and Steam. But in the case of definitely in the case of itch.io, they don't have, they were basically bullied into doing this. They were basically pushed in to do this by the payment processors and such like that. And so they're not 100% at fault. However, it's just the blatant hypocrisy, especially coming from itch.io, who pride themselves in the past on hosting these adult games, hosting these play for adult content, and it's as they've made multiple posts about this in the past about it, and, you know, being very resilient, very adamant about that, and now, you know, having to basically switch it up because now the payment processors are involved and everybody's on eggshells now because they don't want to lose their livelihood. They don't want to lose their funding. They don't want to lose their sources of income. And this is where and it here, it just shows that, yeah, these payment processors, especially with groups like Collective Shout, and there are probably other feminist organizations like this too, who want universal censorship and deplatforming of anything that they don't like. They probably have that much power, having that much power and influence, and it's scary. This whole thing is scary to say the least. This very thing is scary to say the least. Anyway, just want to add on to that.
Mafia or cartel capable of controlling the entire world when it comes to cash flow. And if Steam, a massive platform like Valve and Steam, cannot even fight back against payment processors, it's pretty much the end for any other smaller business that is trying to sell fictional content, because Steam is massive. Anyone that plays games on their PC is aware of Steam. They use Steam. It is the main go-to. And if they can't fight back, it's basically over. But obviously this news got a lot worse. First off, after all of this happened, a few days later, the United Kingdom's had a law come into effect called the Online Safety Act. At first glance, this law was meant to protect children, which in a perfect world, that's fair. That's fine. Makes sense why you would want to protect the kids from internet access and being able to find things that are, let's just be honest, really bad online. However, when it comes to any government, any organization, or any company, usually something like this that restricts people is typically not used out of the goodness of their heart. It is not used in good faith. It is used to control and have power over people. And in this case, the United Kingdom restricted the entire internet for everyone a part of their populace, where you can no longer access the internet without providing an ID. For instance, identification of either your face or actual driver's license. You couldn't get on Discord.
Oi, mate, you got a license for that? That's basically what it comes down to.
You couldn't get on Twitter. You couldn't get on YouTube. You get the point. The entirety of the internet was locked down thanks to this law coming into effect. But this law also started to leak in and affect people in Europe as well. Yes. And you're probably wondering to yourself, how is this even relevant if you don't live in, let's say, UK, or you don't live in Europe? Well, we're going to get into that one in just a moment, because as you can see on screen, this is related to the United States. So, after all this happened in UK, in under 24 hours, once that happened, once this law came into effect, it wasn't used to protect kids. They started to create an entire situation where they were starting to monitor. They made a police monitoring task force to go to people.
And I want to point this out before we move on, that, yeah, all of this, the whole thing between UK publishing their act basically on Friday and then having the US introduce this bill, especially on like Saturday or Sunday over the weekend, this was all in the span of a day. This was all in the course of one day, or basically in the span of a day apart, basically. And yeah, that just shows how quickly this whole situation is escalating. It just shows how quickly this whole situation is escalating, and why more and more people are speaking out, more and more people are being unified about this. And it's just absolute insanity. It is pure insanity at this point. And so
people's doors to basically arrest them or question them if they say anything that is against what the government actually wants you to say. So basically, they're using the law that was meant to protect kids to now censor people online if they have anything that goes against what the government wants you to say.
And by the way, and Sean, you do make a good point. Sean make a good point. We all make a good point. We all saw this coming. The people who have been speaking about this, the people who have been talking about what's been going on with censorship, and especially what's been going on in the gaming industry with its approach, with how it's been approaching, how it's been changing and such like that. We saw this all coming. a mile away. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of people in this chat, probably saw this coming a mile away. A lot of people who have been talking about this has saw this coming. And they didn't expect how, I think what it is just that we didn't expect how insane, of how crazy the situation was going to get, or how crazy the situation was going to get once the once it was all revealed, once the veil's all been lifted. You know, I said you don't ever trust, politicians and shit like that, but we are really caught in a place where it feels like we are just powerless to stop it, except, we have a voice to speak out about it, But you know what? We all saw this coming, and to anybody who was, questioning the fact that it wasn't going to happen here, or that, we were just blowing smoke, or we were just being doom and gloom about it. Well, freak, I saw this shit coming 10 years ago with GG and all that ish. And yeah. How does it feel now? He said, I did hear about that. Ghost of Guitar, good morning. I did hear about that. Yeah, I did hear about Elon wanting to make his own payment platform to combat this, basically. We'll see. I think it's just these groups, you gotta, if anything, just targeting the groups like Collective Shout isn't enough. You do have to go after the payment processors. They're in cahoots with the whole thing, So that's why you gotta speak up. You gotta repeal this as soon as you can. Right. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning. It's not gonna matter. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not gonna matter because it feels like the damage has already been done at this point. So let's continue. And by the way, guys, link in the chat. Link is in the chat if you guys want to read up on the full bill that they want to try passing here in the States.
Scary stuff. Basically, the UK overnight turned into a massive police state. There's a lot of people talking about this. Even Stride Ice, a big ReZero leaker, he even comments on this, talking about the situation, on how it's been getting bad for years now, but it's gotten even worse thanks to this situation. But getting into the main point here is that this was the start. It's very clear that there is an acceleration of censorship in just this last week and a half. Now, I've been covering this topic for way over a year now about payment processors and what's happened to like DLSite, what's happened to Pixiv, what's happened to Manga Library Z. I've been very, outspoken about the whole situation. But now that this situation has gotten so massive that it's starting to affect
add on to Chibi's points, a lot of this also started, last year when people were bringing up the fact that Visa and MasterCard were telling, were planning to remove their, were basically forcing sites like DLSite, like these Japanese sites that host adult content, to, get rid of it, or else they lose their funding. They lose their, or else they lose the payment process. They lose their source of income. And it pushed Japan and a lot of these sites, especially manga sites, to have to basically self-censor. They have to basically self-censor. They have to basically remove so much of their catalog, especially if it's a company, a small business that is focused on providing fictional content, especially providing adult fictional content as well. And that's where some people can argue that this is where it really started, when Japan was hit with this, and that thinking that it's not going to trickle over into the rest of the world. Now it's starting to. If there is some silver lining to there is some silver lining to this, in that Japan is now fighting back. Japan is now pushing back against Visa for potentially breaking law, basically for pushing small companies out like this for just over adult content. you know, I'm happy to see that Japan is pushing back against this, and more people need to do the same. As the Federal Trade, specifically, you know, Japanese Federal Trade Commission. So,
not just gamers, but pretty much entire countries, it's very clear that there is something more going on, especially when you take a look at the new bombshell that came out today, and a lot of people are now starting to talk about. So this right here, as you can see on screen, that it's been on the screen since the very beginning, is called S1748 Kids Online Safety Act. This is the official Congress.gov site.
If you want to put it in abbreviation, COSA. If you want to call it, let's just call it COSA. I'll just abbreviate it as COSA.
This is an official governmental site ran by the United States, and this is a bill that has been introduced into Congress back in May of this year, just a few months ago, 2 months ago. And it's been relatively gone under the radar, not noticed whatsoever. Nobody was really aware of this until today. And I am talking about the situation because it's incredibly important, because this bill, ironically enough, is titled the exact same way as the bill that just came into effect in the United Kingdoms. Online Safety Act. That's what passed the United Kingdoms. Kids Online Safety Act. Definitely similar. Now, you could chalk it up to saying that, you know, there's only a few words to really describe what the bill is trying to do, but it's very apparent that there is definitely something going on. Call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but anyone seeing what's happened in just the last week and a half can all agree that there is something massively going on with censorship and just these governments' push and these organizations and companies' push to censor fictional media, to censor the internet. It is legitimately concerning, and that is why I'm speaking up about this, because it is actually insane to see such a massive acceleration of censorship. But we got to get into what this bill actually is. So at this current time, this bill was introduced relatively recently. It's just only been introduced. It hasn't even passed Senate, hasn't passed House. It's not even been to the president. It hasn't become law. But one of the big things I want to talk about when it comes to this bill that was introduced is that this is the very same government that is refusing to release the Epstein files, the Epstein list. They're refusing to drop names of those that harmed people, that actually assaulted people. They're refusing to name drop actual criminals. Our government is protecting actual criminals and people that harmed kids.
Yep.
But this bill gets introduced.
Uh-huh.
And looking at the track record of what we have seen in just the last 20 or so hours from the UK, thanks to their bill being introduced on the name of protecting kids and brand protection, basically, it's very obvious it's not about protecting kids. It's about censoring the population and knowing what you're doing at any given moment. And that's exactly what this bill is. It's a Trojan horse disguised with its optics to protect kids. It's not about that. When you start scrolling down and you look at the text on what this early bill has outlined in it, there is some things that obviously sound good, but then things start to become very questionable when you start realizing that there's some things within this that outline that they want to add, obviously, age identification with ID, very similar to UK, but they start talking about overusage of online. For instance, time limits. For instance, time limits as maybe you might be only able to use the internet for 2 or 3 or so hours until your internet access is completely cut off. And then on top of that, they talk about how there would have to be yearly inspections. There is literally a clause in here, if you go down, that talks about every website on the internet that has like a certain amount of traction and viewers or users, they are supposed to disclose the information and the records and stuff to the government about basically how many people are using it, or if there's, people are using their IDs or minors, whatever, anything like that. Just disclose the information to the government, which is already concerning. Now, let's be honest. The government already knows who we all are. I mean, okay? But the thing is if they're grabbing all this data from you and they are actively getting your, identification on these different sites, it builds a internet footprint. It builds, a footprint on what you've been doing, and they're able to know what you're saying, what political party you're on, what side you're on, how you feel about something. It's obviously going to be used as, to, see what you're doing. Surveillance, basically. That's what's going to happen. And so this bill is, the optics of it is being disguised to protect kids, but it's very obvious that's not what it's about. It is way more than that. It's literally doing the exact same thing that the UK bill did and has been passed, because let's just be completely blunt. if someone brings up the question, so you're telling me you're wanting to oppose a bill that is supposed to protect kids from seeing very questionable and awful things on the internet. Obviously, when you bring that up into a conversation, it's going to shut down most conversation. People are going to be like, yeah, I don't want to argue against that, because it's like, who would want to be against protecting kids? It's common sense. But the problem is that is being used as a Trojan horse to get things in to be able to actually restrict even adults, cause actual issues. So that is the problem here, that this is leading into, as I've already been saying for the last few videos, Shimonetta. We are actually entering into Shimonetta. And I can't believe it. I cannot believe we actually have a bill like this right now in Congress for the United States. Now, apparently from what I could dig up, this is something that's been trying to get passed for a while. Like, there's been similar bills over the years. But I want to strictly point this out, that the title of this is the same as the UK stuff. And even with everything that's been going on as of late with
in the same way we saw this with SOPA. We saw this with SOPA. They tried that. Stop Online Privacy Act. They Stop Online Online Protection Act with SOPA. We saw that. We also we saw that every time they try to pass something like this, every single time. So it's at this point, it's nothing new. It's just the fact that it's accelerating, and the fact that they're using, and in the same way with the UK Safety Act, it's using protecting kids as basically a Trojan horse, a scapegoat, a leverage. Because it is what Chibi Review said. You're not going to argue against protecting children because it's blatant common sense, and I agree with that. However, one of the tweets that I saw before we went live was actually coming from a parent saying that yes, we do need to protect children, but this ain't it. You got to learn how to parent your kids better. Like, yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like that's what it comes down to. So yeah, I doubt even parents now are completely on board with this, because now they're even their sense of freedom and such like that is being under attack. So
censorship, there's clearly a push. There is definitely a significant push of censorship on everything. As of late, it is multiple countries involved in this. It's multiple organizations and multiple activists, payment processors. It is legitimately horrifying. And so the question is, what can you do? Well, the only thing I can really recommend is, I'm going to say it, call your state representative. Like, really, if you're a United States citizen, you should call your senator. You should call your representative and basically tell them you don't want this to pass. Just bring it up and say, this is unconstitutional. This shouldn't exist. Do not allow this to pass. Because what's really crazy about this entire situation is that the people on this bill is on both sides. You have Republicans and Democrats all agreeing with this bill that has introduced it or is.
So to anyone, so let's go ahead and shut this down. Let's go ahead and shut this whole thing down. If people want to say that us being standing against censorship is a right-wing issue, or it's a left, or it was never a left-wing versus right-wing issue. This is a universal. Both sides of the party are in on this. Both sides of the party are supporting this. So this was never a left versus right issue. This never was. So if anybody who wants to say that this is us being standing against censorship and such like that is right wing, no, shut them down. To anyone who says this is left wing, shut it down. Because both sides are now a part of this. Both sides are fully in support of this. And that is a major, major problem. Just want to say.
Co-sponsors of this bill. So this isn't, let's say, a one-party issue. It's both sides wanting to get this passed. So don't try to turn this into, oh, the Republicans want to do this. Oh, the Democrats want to do this. No, both sides. It's both sides. Stop trying to fight each other and look at the bigger picture, that there's something going on. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry. I I'm talking about censorship once again, but this is just some really important stuff to talk about. It's extremely important, and I'm glad to see a lot more people are starting to cover this subject, like Asmongold, Mutahar, you have, Bellier News is talking about it. It's really nice to see more content creators covering this, and more people need to be talking about this because it is seriously important, and people need to understand if we just sit around and do nothing, it's going to get bad. It's going to get very bad. I'll leave it at that, though. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on this video. Please subscribe. Shibi out.
Thank you guys so much.
However, due to changing social conditions...
So yeah, that was Shibi Reviews. Link in the chat. Link. I'm going to put a link to his full video in the chat, guys. Please check it out.
So let's get everybody up to speed to current events before we talk about this bombshell that came out today.
Online Safety Act bill that they want to pass. This is just... The way I look at it is just, it's SOPA, 2.0. It's SOPA 2.0, or it's not Online Privacy Act 2.0 with this whole thing. So yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta look for something real quick. Okay, here it is. All right, so I want to put that in the link in the description. Now let's talk to the chat real quick before we move on to the next video, which will be from this will be from Lack of Entertainment. This will be from the Lack of Entertainment. And before we do that, I do want to go over a couple of tweets before we move on. So let me look at the comments real quick. Yeah, censorship bill, no truth online. Yeah, said Ray. Elizabeth, good morning. Indeed, can be far worse. I haven't read this bill yet. Link is in the chat if you want to read the bill in full. Let me guess, more depression. Yeah, very much. Welcome to the new war. It sucks you would need a subscription access sites. Oh, please protect the most predictable defense they can come up with. It is the most predictable defense that they can come up with. Use VPNs or start using TOR. And I agree, Elizabeth, but the thing is what we saw with the UK Online Safety Act, now VPNs aren't working anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's their next target, is going after VPN companies so that they can help bypass the UK's censorship policies. So yeah, this is insanity. Like this is absolute insanity. What's going on right now? Whew, okay. Anyways, okay, yeah. So this is absolute insanity. What's going on right now? And I'm not surprised in the slightest. I don't think a lot of us are not really surprised in the slightest about this. Punk, thank you for the 99-cent super sticker. I really appreciate that. Sean, good up, Jay. Ray says, one has to look at the current state of UK to see that the Protection Act is not in the best interest of children. In the same place as bill, exactly. Truths will be sponsored, lives will be protected, and corruption are engaged. Yeah, it's a lot of corruption. It's definitely, yeah, but that's what it comes down to, and this is why I'm very much adamant on speaking out about this whole thing. Now, let's go ahead and get in. I want to go ahead and I want to read a couple of tweets from a couple of people. First off, everybody's talking about this. Minzy on Twitter, the Kids Online Safety Act in the U.S. is equivalent of the EU Online Services Act and the UK's Online Act. Do not let this pass. Contact your local state and representative and let your voice be heard. The bill is not up. UC has a good point. The bill is not up for vote yet, but it is being talked about. Yeah, it's never done. Nothing that the government does is nothing that the government does is usually in the people's best interest at heart for the most top part. And kids should be protected, but it's not the government's job to do that, basically. But this is going to have major long-term ramifications if bills like this continue to get through Congress and such like that. And yeah, this is very tyrannical. Like I cannot believe that. At first, I thought it was just going about a censorship. You know, a feminist group going against a feminist group wanting censorship and want everything taken down. Not just everything censored, but everything completely gone from the internet. But no, this is escalated now. And this, the crazy part about this is that everything is escalating. And it's like, now it's really is on, you know, freedom of expression. It is really is on freedom of expression. And this whole thing is an attack, and that's why I still believe that this is all an attack on freedom of expression. This is all an attack on artistic expression. So yeah, I'm gonna still keep talking about this because the word needs to get out. Pirate Nation, Kids Online Safety Act in the US is the equivalent of EU's Digital Services Act, and the UK's Online Safety Act. If passed, it could mandate digital identity, fully demonize the internet, and impose significant censorship. Basically, you're basically being government for your base. It's not only surveillance, is what Chibi Reviews was saying, but you're basically having to dox yourself to use the internet. That's what it comes down to. You basically are going to have to start, if this goes through, then you're going to have to start doxing yourself to get to use the internet. And that the whole concept of the whole thing about anonymity is being just thrown out the window. So I don't think anybody. I really don't think it's hard to find anyone who is actually in support of this. It's hard to find anyone actually in support of this. So, and this, in a way, it is unconstitutional if you actually think about this. It's very unconstitutional here. Yeah, Killer 7 was Shimonetta was supposed to be a warning, not an instruction manual. 1984 was yeah, Shimonetta, Suda 51, 1984. Yeah, it's all of that, you know, all of that, all of that. Jay, it was supposed to be a warning and what to avoid, not an instruction manual. Oh my god, it's not a left versus right issue. This has gone far beyond a left versus right issue. Ooh, it wasn't never even a left versus right issue in the first place. Here, let's put this, and Cheap Reviews make this point. People are legit turning the censorship bill in America as a left or right issue. For F's sake, everyone, it has Democrats and Republicans as co-sponsors, both parties. They want us in fight like dumbasses. And that is the thing, guys. That is the thing, guys. Y'all sound Kyle. Sound like Kyle's inside the year y'all when you needed 5 years ago. Yeah, Kyle's been sounding alarm on this shit. Kyle's been sounding alarm on this shit for years at this point. Kyle's been sounding alarm on this shit for years at this point, man. Now everybody's seeing it. He's been shadow banned for it. So you know what? Shout out to Kyle for it, man. Everybody's seeing it now. It's the common folk versus the freaks in Power Raiders. So happy people are distracted by my red versus blue. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. Is they want the infighting to. They want people to infight so that way, you know, this bill can get passed easily. You know, stuff like this censorship can get passed easily. It was never a left versus right issue. There's bad actors on both sides of this, and there are people who want and both parties want this, when generally people don't. So yeah, just remember, both sides. This was never a left versus right issue. What is the population bill setting up? You know what? It's absolute power control. And that's what it comes down to. It's absolute power control. And I want to bring this up from Madam Savvy. By law, financial institutions like Visa and MasterCard must have a hotline for integrity, ethics, and compliance complaints. The trending concerns is that when raised and delivered, the board of directors become available to customers and shareholders. Since what Visa and MasterCard are doing is unethical, we must report it to these hotlines. Bending the knee to a foreign extremist group that is weaponizing their vague TOS to censor lawfully approved content is unethical and completely displaces the integrity of the system. They are now operating as a moral police despite all the content they wanted censored is illegal. You may submit your complaints anonymously. Ethics Point does actually protect your identity from what I can tell. Both Visa and MasterCard use the same site. Links are provided in the follow-up tweet. This is how we do. We can fight against Collective Shout and the Coast requests. By the way, it's not just Collective Shout that is wanting all this censored, but another organization wants all of this censored, and this is the way that you guys can fight back on this one. I will put links to both Visa and MasterCard's both of them in the description. Just give me 1 second, everyone. I will put both of those links in there so that way you guys have a good frame of reference. Let me just drop both links. Thank you, Madam Savvy, guys. Keep speaking out about this, guys, please. Speaking out, let your voices heard, and yeah, file an ethical report about this. So yeah, Visa and MasterCard actually addressed to Ethics Point. So I'm going to put links to both of them in the chat. MasterCard Ethics Hotline Helpline, Visa Ethics Helpline. So there you go. So definitely go ahead and check those out, guys. If you guys want to fight back against companies like Collective Shout and SOPA, Collective Shout, and if you guys want to fight against companies like Collective Shout and Incos who want all of this, who want all of this censorship. And so in a way, it feels like it's a fight on, in a sense, it feels like it's a fight on two fronts. It feels like it's a fight on two fronts, basically. This is a whole war on two fronts. Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting if the shareholders get the impression that they are dragging the brand name into the mud. If gamers and GG really kickstarted the U.S. administration, as the media says, then a credit card company should be scared about bad press with this public. I genuinely think a trend in ethics complaints will have a massive effect, but I don't know how to get this out more. I agree. Now, the link works now. The link works, by the way. And yeah, everybody's bringing this up. Yeah, they want a C-suite on the other end of phone call, and then you might call to an executive. Yeah, they want to get rid of anonymity, basically. They want to get rid of anonymity. You want control of everything you do, control basically what you consume on the internet. And the internet has become kind of this last bastion of freedom, if you think about it. So that was Madam Savvy, guys. Everybody's speaking about it. Everybody's talking about this, but I want to let's bring up V's perspective on this one, and let's check it out.
The whole kerfuffle with the British Online Safety Act came into effect, and within a couple of days, we've noticed that teenagers managed to completely bypass the age verification. Like, there are many examples of social media that have gone viral, varying from using various scripts to using game characters to managing to bypass all of these robust age verifications. To the fact that, well, Wikipedia now, apparently a pornographic website, because I understand, the Online Safety Act in Britain is to protect minors from watching porn. Like, that's how it was sold to me, so I assume that's what it is. But Wikipedia must be one of those evil websites, because it's now threatening to region block the UK because it can't comply to...
So this is V. He has two channels called Romanian TV, which does his politics channel, and then his general gaming talk and entertainment he calls Lack of Entertainment. He is one of my favorite people to listen to on YouTube. One of my favorite people on Twitter as well. He is a how do I describe it? How do I describe V simply? I could only be half as Romanian as he could. All right. He is such a cheeky little shit. He is such a sarcastic troll that it is so hilarious when he talks about stuff like this because he is right on the money. So he is right on the money, and he is from Romania. So, but I love V. V is my spirit animal.
The Online Safety Act. We have noticed various protests and political commentators also being censored. Like, if you want to discuss politics, you need to dox yourself in Britain. And more importantly, a 16-year-old apparently can vote in the future in the United Kingdom, but he can't listen to a conversation that takes place in Parliament regarding immigration at all. Like, he can't dox himself. Like, he's 16. The reasoning for this is that, well,
and also I want to point this out. Apparently, with the UK Safety Act, you need legal identification to even watch protest videos. I am not joking. You do need an ID to actually watch protest videos. That's how far they're gone. That's far they're gone on to censor and everything. I'm telling you guys, you cannot make this up. I can't make this up if I try, man. But yeah, you actually cannot even watch protest videos, bro. You have to need identification to watch that. So yeah, it's I don't know what to tell you, man. I just don't know what to tell you. But this whole thing has just been nothing, and I mean nothing but oh my god. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this whole thing.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up.
Anyway, continue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it was never about harming kids. Because why is Google now? I just found this, and I just didn't realize this until just now. Hang on, let me I just realized that. I didn't realize that Google is now going after this bill too. And the reason is because it was never about protecting children in the first place. It was never about protecting children in the first place. You see this is what I was saying yesterday on Makini Live. Everybody everyone wants to sing kumbaya and we're all on the same page when it's like a lot of y'all have been pro censorship for the longest time, and only when it affects you that you guys want to switch sides. It's the same thing. We can't hear anything. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Sean. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna rewind a bit. But yeah, it was never about protecting kids in the first place. And now Google wants to fight the Safety Act too.
Well, Wikipedia now, apparently a pornographic website, because I understand, the Online Safety Act.
And by the way, Wikipedia, I brought this up yesterday at the start of the show yesterday, that Wikipedia is now making it a legal thing. Wikipedia is now wanting to file a lawsuit against against the UK because this Online Safety Act directly affects them too. This Online Safety Act directly affects them too. So yeah, they're fighting it too. They're fighting it on Wikipedia is fighting on legal ground. And just remember, Wikipedia and also understand this, guys. Wikipedia has been operating at basically as a small budget. They've been operating on small budget for a long time, and it's all been volunteer, and it's all been volunteer contributors who put up the article. So when this bill passed through, this is going to hurt Wikipedia because now their volunteer contributors could also get, doxxed too for this. So yeah.
Act in Britain is to protect minors from watching porn. Like, that's how it was sold to me, so I assume that's what it is. But Wikipedia must be one of those evil websites because it's now threatening to region block the UK because it can't comply to the Online Safety Act. We have noticed various protests and political commentators also being censored. Like, if you want to discuss politics, you need to dox yourself in Britain. And more importantly, a 16-year-old apparently can vote in the future in the United Kingdom, but he can't listen to a conversation that takes place in Parliament regarding immigration at all. Like, he can't dox himself, like he's 16. The reasoning for this is that, well, Ofcom has decided that topics regarding immigration are a sensitive matter, and underage people should not be exposed to sensitive matters, but underage people should vote. And so, like, that's just like the tip of the iceberg regarding the online safety bill, which, again, like, a lot of people were supporting because it's like, well, you need to keep the children safe, right? So hopefully now the kids in the UK are safe. However, while this is happening, the European Union next year is having a similar bill. Australia is also having a bill. Apparently, Google has threatened to sue the Australian government if this bill is going to cover YouTube. And you may be wondering, well, hold on a little bit, because this was the argument that was being used. It's like, if you're against these bills, then you're for harming children, right? So the question is, why is Google against this bill? Why is Google for harming kids? Well, they're not. They're obviously not. To comply with these regulations, it's economically excruciating. Like, apparently, it costs tens of millions of dollars to install these robust age verification. They're using new technology, they're relying on AI, but most importantly, the security aspect and the risk. Like, you are harvesting data from so many people, and the risk of someone hacking that and exposing those people to identity theft is so big that it would be a PR disaster for any company that fails their duty to safeguard this data. And so the price for it is really high. So medium-sized companies can't afford that. Small companies definitely can't. And this is why you get to see the large tech giants actually supporting these legislative initiatives. It's not about pornography. It's about making sure that in the future, you will never have a new upstarting social media company or a new upstarting website. It guarantees hegemony of the large tech giants for at least a couple of more decades. Unless you have someone like Elon Musk with the money to just simply purchase one of these companies, it's going to be really incredibly difficult for anyone to start anything. Because to have like the robust age verifications and to completely destroy internet anonymity, it's financially crippling. And so this is why they support it. But as I mentioned, that this is interesting, right? Like you have the United Kingdom, you have the European Union, you have Australia, and now you have the Kids Online Safety Act in the United States, all of them coming at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this doesn't really look like a left-leaning, right-wing issue.
No, it doesn't.
It looks like something that was organized behind the scenes, and the purpose to destroy internet anonymity and to turn internet into cable TV is becoming more and more likely. And I find it fascinating the way they did it. I mean, they used the same playbook that worked for feminists in 2016. If you guys remember, like back in the day, the internet was actually free. Like you could create whatever website you wanted. You could make whatever you wanted without moderation. And people just knew that the internet is dangerous.
Yeah.
Like parents were actually very aware that the internet is a bad place.
Yeah.
And I myself, when I was 15, I actually knew. It's like, okay, when I go on the internet, I never show my face. I never give out my name. I never talk about where I live. And I never meet anyone in real life from the internet. Like those were the golden rules, right? And then that's how we stay safe. But apparently now, no, like now that's not enough. You need the government to keep you safe. And so with that mindset, the internet was an extremely chaotic and very fun place. Was filled with creative people, a lot of edgy humor and jokes. And unfortunately, none of the Zoomers are ever going to experience that side of technology. Because they grew up with the sanitized version of the internet, which is why they're more likely to accept this shit. And so in 2016, the feminists came around and they started insulting people by branding them misogynists, sexists, racists, and demanded trusted safety councils.
Yep.
And at the time, trusted safety was unthinkable. Like the idea that someone gets to ban people over jokes or memes was outlandish, ridiculous.
This started to happen. This started to happen around 2015, 2016. Because they couldn't help themselves. They couldn't help themselves. The freaking I'll be blunt here. You could be argued that it was a lot of it was the feminists who were, just being moral policing everyone, moral policing everything they see, and that's how I say that because that's how I was involved. That's how I started seeing what was going on, and that was kind of I guess you could say that was me getting woke. I guess you could say that was me kind of seeing what the hell is going on there too. So, yeah, that's where I saw what happened. That's just me. Hey, Kiki.
Like, surely that's not the future of the internet. And who can forget Alex Jones, right? Like, he got banned from all the platforms, and it was horrifying to see. It's like, what is the world becoming? People just couldn't understand, like, an individual banned from all the major platforms in one day. Like, what the fuck is going on? And apparently, like, what was going on is that was the future. And the internet becomes more controlled. But at least people still have anonymity. You still get banned, but you can make a sock puppet account. You can make a new account, right? Start from scratch. Well, they didn't like that. So now they're pushing all of these legislations, which, again, they're doing it with the same idea, like insult the people that resisted. If you're not for this, you're against the children. And when you frame it like that, like who wants to be viewed as being against the children? They're using insults, right? Like the same social stigma, calling people gooners, Kumar brain if they're against this. When obviously, like, people are just seeing where it's going. Everything that I predicted on this channel.
People are just seeing exactly where this is going. And you know what? I take it as a compliment. You want to call people gooners, Kumar brains, whatever? You want to call people gooner? Yeah, okay, we'll take it as a compliment. Because one, not only does it mean profitable, it just means that basically you're seeing exactly what's going on. That's how I'm seeing it right now. So go ahead, call me gooner, whatever, man. It just at this point it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter anymore. You're just not going to get much reaction out of me, and I assume it's probably going to be the same for you guys too.
Happened in the United Kingdom. And the result is going to be the removal of internet anonymity, the destruction on any competing alternative platform that will try to grow. And of course, like, certain governments are going to make a lot of money by fining companies whenever they fail to uphold to the standards, which, by the way, like, all these laws have extremely vague standards. Extremely so. And all of the responsibility is on the company. Like, none of the responsibility is on the government. And more importantly, they don't allow politicians or elected members to regulate. Like in Britain, it's Ofcom, which is an institution that's bureaucratic in nature. And in the United States, is the FTC,
Mm-hmm.
according to the Kids Online Safety Act. Like
And
the FTC
Japan is
gets to
the
demand
FTC as
to,
well.
to say what's harmful and what isn't for children. And if we go by what Ofcom is saying, well, apparently what's harmful is talks about immigration. The FTC, now is probably going to have one policy, but what until the Democrats get in charge? What policy do you think they will have?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would the Democrats think is harmful for children when they're getting power?
Yep.
Any person that is supporting this after seeing what's happening in the UK, in my opinion, is insane. I don't care what arguments he's making. They have none, because we can see reality. You can just talk to a British person right now and ask them how safe they feel and how the internet is like from their point of view. And so
and that's the thing. It's like, well, that's the thing. It's like you're just living in completely delusional, and anything you say is completely null and void if you're completely in support of this. And you're going to be hard pressed to find people who are actually supportive of this Safety Act, supportive of this censorship that's going on. So I agree with V 1,000% on this. You are completely delusional, and you don't even have, you shouldn't even take anything you say seriously if you're actually in support of this, because it's not about protecting children in the first fucking place. Thank you, Loki, for the raid.
Thing is, like, these legislations can still be stopped before they pass, because once they pass, it's very unlikely people will stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Since politicians don't like to repeal legislation right after it passes because it makes them look bad.
Oh, yeah.
It makes them look like they made a mistake. And in politics, optics is everything. So, yes, this will probably pass. I don't think, enough people will stop it. You're going to have the same thing happening in Australia. You're going to have the same thing happening in the European Union. And the end result is going to be a fragmentation of the internet and an extremely boring and sanitized version of the internet, because companies are going to go overboard censoring anything that may be considered harmful. Again, the terms are vague, and the Online Safety Act in Britain, it says legal but harmful.
It's vague for a reason. It is vague for a reason. And you wonder why everybody is in support of this. Why everybody's singing Kumbaya over this right now. Look up the two sponsors of this bill and see what other bills they've written or supported. Okay. COSO was introduced by Senators Richard Blumenthal and Marsha Blackburn in the House Representatives, Gus Bolkris, Kathy Castor, Aaron Halkin, and Kim Schreier, who have also introduced the bill. The legislation is supported by a brand coalition of groups, including tech accountability organizations, parent groups, pediatricians, and some tech companies like Microsoft, Twitter, and Snap. Not surprising. It's not surprising. It's not surprising. It's not surprising in the slightest. I'm not surprised in the slightest. Ray says, to these people who thought gamers were overreacting about GG, remember, they made this. Remember that you made this possible because you just wanted to be contrarian. Yeah, that's. Why do you think I want to talk about? Why do you think I'm serious about talking about this now?
So, in other words, like, even content that's perfectly legal, as long as it can be considered harmful, they will censor it. Companies don't want the responsibility of being sued. And yeah, we're going towards a grim future of the internet. The good thing is, though, usually when generations change, they become exactly the opposite of what their parents are.
They are.
And so, it's up to the next generation to live under this level of bullshit until they're going to say, like, wait, well, why do we need to live like this? Like, you're giving 16-year-olds the ability to vote, and you're taking away their products. You know, like the stuff that they use, the Reddit, the 4chans, the Discords. Like, you're basically saying, no, you're not allowed to use them. And they will basically say, well, hold on a little bit. Who took it away from us? Who promises to give it back to us? That's going to be their mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you know, you don't lower the demand. Like, you're not convincing people, hey, you need to stop going on 4chan. Hey, you need to stop going on Reddit.
Exactly.
You're basically just making it more difficult for them to access it. And believe it or not, people, especially young people, are very creative. Because I can see, like, the way they jailbroke AIs and the way they were sharing that information, right? Because it takes only one person that's savvy to figure it out and then share it on a forum with everyone else, and then you fucking go. And the only problem that we get from this, as I mentioned before, is not to stop young people from accessing, is that it actually destroys internet anonymity. Because while a young person, you know, he can't access Reddit and he wants to be there, like, what is he going to do? Well, he's going to find a way. He's going to use a video game character. He's going to use some script in order to get past. Like, he will find a way. But the adults, the middle-aged people, right? All they have to do is to scan their ID. Most of them will do it. Because there's no, it's convenient, right? It's easy.
Yeah, it's just convenient.
Will, like the way people do it in China, they use their ID or they scan their face to access the internet. That's what's going to happen in the West. It's really sad, to be honest. I used to be proud that we're not like China. But here we are. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you on my live stream. There's a link to it into the pinned comment. Take care.
Yeah, so that was V. That was V. I'm gonna put a link. I'm gonna put a link to the full video from V if you guys want to watch it again. Please subscribe to V because this shit is important. This shit is very important. Now, there's one more thing there's one more video I want to bring up as we are getting as we're gonna start winding down real soon. Okay. So I want to tie this back into what
Now here we got an artist that managed to collect 1 million.
That's the one I'm looking for. That is what I was looking for. I wanted to talk about this too, because this is going to have an effect on artists. This is going to have an effect on games. This is going to have an effect on creative expression in general. So this is one from Lack of Entertainment. I'm going to put a link to this one in the description. Guys, to anybody who wants to call me a doomer or whatever, it doesn't matter. This matters, man. I'm not going to stop talking about this. Let's go.
Views with an interesting story. They say that in an attempt to verify their age on the Discord, they had to dox themselves, right? Like, this is a national sport in Britain now. So dox yourself for the children. So they doxed themselves, but Discord permanently suspended their ass. This is after trying to use my ID, which didn't work. I've sent an appeal, but
all right, one second. I gotta address somebody real quick. Let's go. How you doing, sweetheart? Maria, how you doing? Maria, how are you doing? Hope you are doing well. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Miss Maria is here. It's very striking resemblance to Maricel, though. I'm kidding, Maria. Good to see you, sweetheart. Hope you are doing well. You guys don't subscribe to Maria T and Tully. Please do so. Mods, can somebody put the link to Maria's channel in the description? She would greatly appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. Just want to say, smack the like button, make it jiggle. Smack the subscribe button, make it jiggle. Let's continue. Hi, Maria. Anyway, let's go.
No one is responding. So if I lose my account, they are going to be really upset because they're an artist and they run their business through the Discord. Now, I personally can't verify if this particular individual is of age or not. However, this is a story that I've heard a lot of times during the last couple of days. And one of the people is actually a streamer. And in that situation, I do know for sure that they're an adult. And so what is going on here? Why is the system giving these errors? Well, imagine you're the owner of Discord and you have tens of millions of people on your platform at any given time. Now, in the real world, usually people hang around individuals of their age. Like if you go into a park, you're going to see little kids. If you go into a different area, you may see teenagers hanging around next to a high school. And if you go to a bar or a strip club, you're going to see adults. Now, that's in the real world. Unfortunately, on the online space, usually people mingle. And so when you have a platform like Discord, where you have tens of millions of people and it's just their avatars and their nicknames, you generally don't know which one is of age and which one isn't. And the problem starts when you have like various servers, like some of them dedicated to not safe for work stuff, while others dedicated for actual stuff for kids, like for instance, allegedly Roblox. And so you as a company must make sure that the children do not go into the places of adults. And so what do you do?
What do you do?
You have a flagging system and you also have AI, and that's pretty much it, right? So far, you have to assume that everyone claiming that they are of age are of age. And the moment someone exposes them of not being of age, you have to ban them. Because if you don't, you are legally responsible. There is absolutely no defense that a company can do if an angry parent goes to the press and says, like, little Timmy was on a Discord server with a lot of adult stuff. And when reported or when flagged, Discord chose to do nothing. Because that's how it's going to be framed, right? So from a company's point of view, this is a huge risk. And so they have to ban you. And it has happened in the past where a couple of individuals actually joked about their age. So they went on a Discord, on a public Discord, and said, I'm 15, even though they were 35. But like, there's no way for Discord to know that, right? Because they don't see your real face. They don't see your webcam. So like, they take your word for it, and they will say, okay, then we're going to ban your ass. And honestly, every single responsible moderator, even that's not the Discord admin, should do the same. Like if someone tells me that they're underage, even as a joke, I genuinely believe them and I ban them. Now, the problem happens when the British government forces people to dox themselves. Despite what the public thinks, there is no magic to actually know if the individual behind the camera is genuinely of age or not. I mean, you can have a system that, has some accuracy, but at the end of the day, not all IDs will work. Like some IDs may be very old and they have a little bit of a smudge, or maybe your webcam isn't up to par and the webcam has a little bit of a smudge and then the ID doesn't work. Or maybe the servers are clogged and, you didn't know that, so all you got was an error. And then you have to show your mug. You got to show the face that mama gave you. And if you have a baby face, well, if you're baby face Lou from the mafia, tough shit. Well, at the end of the day, you fucking deserve it. Like if you want to dox yourself and you generally thought that's a good idea, hey, what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what Keir Starmer tells me. I'm going to fucking dox myself. I want some company to have my info. Okay, well, you dox yourself. And if the AI gives a false negative and they think that babyface Lou, which is actually 45 years old, is 16, because all they got is the face, well, you're going to end up with your account banned. And the only thing that you can do is to try to go for Discord support. But guess what? You're probably going to be talking to an AI. So I hope the account wasn't very important. I hope you didn't have a lot of friends. I hope you didn't make a lot of connections. And I hope you didn't buy a lot of Nitro. And I hope you didn't buy any of the video games from their store because they're all gone. And that's pretty much it. Now, is Discord in the wrong? Well, let's look at it from their point of view, right? Like you think you're an individual snowflake and you're actually going to get an appeal and people are going to listen to what you say and they really care. In reality, however, Discord doesn't give a shit.
No.
They have to deal with tens of millions of people. You're a percentage. You're a statistic, right? So like if the program that's supposed to look at your face has a 5% error, they call that a success. And when you look at what is a 5%, well, look at 5% of 10 million. That's a huge number. But apparently, it's what's needed for Discord to keep doing business. because they can't afford to even have someone that is of age, but like it's in a gray area because they don't know, right? Like the AI gives them a wrong answer. If they choose, oh, well, okay, yeah, like this guy seems to be legit. And then they get a lawsuit. It's like, well, yeah, but like you knew that he was underage. You can't have any defense against that. And in some cases, it's criminal, right? Like you allow the minor in the presence of adult stuff. That's called grooming in some nations.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why they're acting like this. They're covering their ass. Obviously, like if they have to choose between the risk of allowing even a single minor in versus the risk of banning you, well, they're going to ban you because they don't lose anything by banning you, right? Like unless you're Asmongold or unless you're like a huge celebrity that can kick up a storm and be outraged and expose the program, right? They don't care. And so this is the reality now. You know, like a lot of people are probably going to end up losing their Discord account over the fact that the AI makes a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what it is. My advice is don't shave. Like before doing this, don't fucking shave. Or just use a VPN like normal people and don't dox yourself. Like that is something that a lot of British people are doing right now. It's kind of hilarious though. Like I know from social media that there are teenagers, because they post this shit, there are teenagers that are using video game characters so that they don't dox themselves. And then you see adults that are trying to play by the system. They're trying to play fair, and they end up losing their accounts. This is a peak clown world. Like, I never thought that I'm going to see the circus at this level. Yet, here we are. I do expect as time goes by, the system is going to get better. Like, people that are using video game characters are going to have a more difficult time in using them. People that are getting false negatives, you know, babyface Lou may actually manage to get in. But until that happens, a lot of people are going to lose their accounts. And again, like for some individuals, it's disastrous. For the average person, not so much. But like for an artist that takes commissions, for a person that actually talks business on Discord, you know, they got connections with coders and other individuals like trying to make an app or some shit. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? The best thing to do is to get backups, you know, like get these people's emails, the ones that you work with, the ones that are for business, or the people that you find important in your life and you need to talk. Because make sure you can lose your Discord account with this shit, right? So, like, it's better to be prepared. Let me know what you think. And as usual, I will see you on my live stream. There's a link to that into the pinned comment.
Yeah.
And do subscribe, please. I'll see you. Take care.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that was one thing I wanted to talk about regarding the, you know, just the whole thing.
Now that the whole kerfuffle with the Brit,
because it's going to affect everyone. And let's go ahead and say hi. Let's go ahead and just catch up with the chat real quick before we go on. There's one more video I want to go into. The government are fools. There's flag. I'm so sorry to hear that, Grim. You can use pictures of Prime Minister Keir Starmer to bypass Face ID verification. Say, we live in a world where the cost of living is affecting everyone, and these assholes find it more importantly to police what we have to say than actually do the public reality, or in the case of the UK. Are we on the struggle bus today? Feels that way. Keep your chins up. This is why I can't own the company. I'd be too blunt for my own good. Don't get me started on Roblox. I've seen some when my nephew, company ID, hey difficulty. Yeah, man, this is, I know it's depressing, but we gotta, I'm not gonna bring this, but I'm not gonna stop talking about this. Use VPN with Tor. Never thought we used Tor again, but this web is a funny thing that works. Yeah. Yeah, just give them your social security. That's so picky. Oh, you don't think they're gonna attack on a social security level, man? Don't think that. Oh my god. But no, there's one more thing I want to bring up, and this goes back into the important bits and why I'm willing to speak about this, because this is eliminating freedom of expression. Now, we brought up with the whole thing is eliminating freedom of expression. Or this is an attack on freedom of expression, because having 100 Steam and itch.io having to capitulate to these feminist organizations, the payment processors, to censor and ban their games off their platform. It's not just adult games, guys. I said this before. that they're going to come after games like Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. They will come after games like Black Myth Wukong. They'll come after games like Stellar Blade. For one reason or another, they will try to. They will legally try to now. Legally, they will use it from a governmental level. They will try to influence, payment process, stuff like that, to go after games like, Stellar Blade, like Wu Chang, or like any other game for either for violence, for sexuality, or even games that aren't even have any adult themes whatsoever. Case in point, Fear and Hunger has been banned on itch.io, has been shadow banned on itch.io due to Visa MasterCard policy.
Now, yesterday I made a video in which I highlighted the themes, the story plots that you're not allowed to have in a video game anymore because it goes against Visa and MasterCard's TOS. So it's pretty much like trying to write a book. Well, imagination isn't your oyster anymore. You got to check up on what Visa and MasterCard doesn't allow. Now, when you look at those themes individually, you would say, well, yeah, it makes sense. Why would you want to have incest in a story, for instance? That's disgusting. That's vile. Or why would you want to have non-consent? Like, that normalizes rape culture. Like, no story should exist that has that. No book should be written that has that. That's heretical in nature. However, when you look at the big picture and you realize that blockbuster movies have those themes, like, for instance, Game of Thrones has almost every single theme that Visa and MasterCard doesn't allow. Stephen King has written books with those themes. House of the Dragon is out now. The Boys, Baldur's Gate 3. Like, there are mainstream titles that go around the world, and yet society doesn't decay because of those books.
Exactly.
They are legal purchases. They should be fantasy and escapism. And this is why people are upset. It's like, why is Visa and MasterCard now, which holds 80% of the world's online purchases,
trying to appeal Sam Cargo? It's like, yeah, like I says, man, like, you want to call it, oh, Gooner games whatsoever. I'm like, dude, those games have every right to exist. Just like the heavily sexual LGBTQ games have right to exist. All these games have a right to be on this to be on these platforms and to be sold. And I won't stop, and I will defend that. Because you censor one, because this is a slippery slope. When you push one game out, you're going to push more games out. This is blood in the water. This is start seeing blood in the water. This is you give them an inch, they take a mile. And this is actually affecting people's livelihood. This whole thing with the bill and everything is actually going to be affecting people's livelihoods. Yes, it will affect people's livelihoods. It will affect people's sources of income. You can't make a Game of Thrones nowadays. You can't make a GTA nowadays. You can't make a Manhunt nowadays. You can't even make a Mortal Kombat nowadays. I bet you, my bomb dollar, that Mortal Kombat couldn't be made today. A lot of this stuff can't be made today. Under this, under the brave new world that we're in right now, a lot of this cannot be made today. I guarantee you.
Basically saying what?
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Authors are and aren't allowed to write in books. It's ridiculous. And I was pointing out that they started with adult games simply because, well, no one is going to defend them. It's like a low-hanging fruit.
It is.
The excellent way to get your foot in the door. And once they normalize the concept of censorship, then, well, people will demand for more because there are activist groups that genuinely make...
Because these adult games are low-hanging fruit. That was their barrier. That was a way to get their foot in the door, as V said. It was an easy target. and because nobody was actually playing these games. And that's where it starts. So yes, I did defend. Yes, I will defend these games having a right to exist on these platforms. So okay, prove me otherwise, then. Prove me otherwise. This is the domino effect because they don't know when to stop. Let's continue.
Money off of selling fear to the public and then demanding for censorship. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you know they're not going to stop it. They're not going to say, "Oh well, we finally sanitized the video game industry." That's not their goal. They don't want to sanitize it. They want to ruin it, and they want to make money. And yesterday, I was sad to be informed that one of the best horror indie games out there has been censored. So it has been removed from itch.io. The game in question is called Fear and Hunger. If I'm not mistaken, Asmongold himself has decided to stream it. This is a game that's actually not pornographic in nature.
It's not.
But it does have some of those themes. And, you know, despite the fact that this game already managed to sell a significant amount of titles, other developers are now getting the message. It's like, look, you need to sanitize your art. You can't just do whatever you want. This is going to be very difficult for people that are in niche genres, like, for instance, horror, thriller, like anything that has to do with.
That is a very important thing to note, everybody who's listening. This is going to affect people who are in the niche genres. The more niche titles will be affected by this. The more niche indie developers will be affected by this. My biggest fight will be the sanitization of everything. The sanitization of creativity. Where nobody will create anything that is edgy anymore. No one will create anything that is out there. No one will create anything that is unique anymore. Everything will be sanitized. And we're all going to be under the thumb of the bigger players who have control over what of the media that we can consume, the media that we can buy, the products that we can buy. This is what stuff like this is why I'm speaking up right now, because those adult games were just the low-hanging fruit. And this is where the slippery slope comes in. This is where the domino effect comes into play. Because now they're going to go after anything that they deem is against terms of service for itch.io or Steam. It doesn't stop, guys. This is a slippery slope because when you have these groups like Collective Shout, when you have the payment processors that think that they're the hammer, everything around them is a nail. Everything and everyone around them is a nail. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Fantasy or dark fantasy elements. Anyone that wants to have like historical recreations like Game of Thrones, they're going to have a very difficult time writing stuff for adults because they're going to now have to write stuff for Visa and MasterCard. And so what is Fear and Hunger? Well, in Fear and Hunger, it's as I mentioned before, like a horror survival game. And the whole purpose is to unsettle you. It does fear in a different way. Like, it doesn't really have jump scares or stuff like that. It's just like the atmosphere, the whole vibe of it is extremely unsettling. And so it does contain some nudity. For example, you can cut off enemy body parts. Like if someone attacks you, you can literally chop off their leg, or you can chop off their arm. And the enemy can do the same to you. The enemy can also chop off one of your arms. And so the question is, like, well, how do you heal yourself? Like, are you going to play the rest of the game without an arm? And there is a god in this universe called Sylvana, the goddess of love. And by worshiping at an altar, if you have sex with another party member, you fuse into one body. Again, it's really unsettling because, like, it's not erotic. It's not meant to titillate. Like, the fusion itself is disturbing.
Exactly.
And it's one of those things where the player has to decide, do I want to risk losing my humanity, or do I want to play the game without one limb? And it has, like, different endings based if you make the decision or not. You also have, like, certain other enemies that are naked. Like, for instance, you can target their cock and balls in order to inflict more damage.
Exactly.
You could do this in the old games. You could do this in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. Like games that are trying to be actually mature, you know, to have a dark world, a dark universe. Like, you can do that. Some of the guards are raping the prisoners. Like, again, it's a dark theme, right?
You can't make cyberpunk now. You it's funny. It's funny. A game in a series that depicts about corporate tyranny and dystopian futures can't be made today. When it's the exact same thing, man. You can't make cyberpunk today. You can't make a lot of these games today. You can't make Berserk today. There's no way.
Dark universe. The whole purpose of the game is horror. Like, it's meant to horrify. But apparently, you can't have that anymore. And I don't blame itch.io. I know a lot of people do, and I understand it. But, like, the main blame has to be on the payment processors.
Exactly.
Like, I'm trying to put myself into the position of the owner of one of these websites. Right? So let's say I have a website, and all of a sudden, Visa tells me you have 24 hours in order to comply with our TOS, or else we're going to shut down your entire processing. And I have to figure out, it's like, okay, can I still operate? Like, I already have debts to pay. Every single business has debts to pay. And you're like, if I don't do this, I'm gone. Like there's an online business. Like, I can't take cash. I can't take check. And so if I don't do this, my entire business goes away. Now, sure, I can go to crypto, but the reality is that people don't use crypto. And it's not sustainable. If it was, like, by now you would have businesses that did this, right?
Exactly.
And so you got to make the choice. Do I make a little bit more money until I shut down the lights? Or maybe, hopefully, I can drag the website a little bit more until the controversy goes away? Or do I just tell Visa to fuck itself, and then I have no more money and I have to shut down the next day? Again, you know, it's up to you to decide if the owner of itch.io was in the right or not. He decided, all right, well, I'm going to comply with Visa. And he's looking at the list of terms of service, doesn't fucking know. You know, like most of these people aren't going to play the games top to bottom, right? Like, they're going to just play a couple of minutes, then they're going to make an opinion. And if they see some nudity or if they see any act of non-consensual stuff, you know, like they watch episode 1 of Game of Thrones, they managed to see incest there, okay, ban.
Yeah, any semblance of what they deem as non-consensual ushi-kushi, you know.
And developers are going to be aware of this. You know, people that invest tens of thousands of dollars into their games, they're going to say, well, it's not worth it. We're going to self-censor, or they're going to choose not to do anything at all. And so who benefits from this? Well, the big games benefit, right? The reason I like Fear and Hunger is that it had an original take. That's it. That's the only reason. It's like
you're going to be at the will of the payment processors who are going to be working with, you know, groups like Collective Shout. A lot of these groups who want to dictate what you can and can't consume. Because they can't handle it, just because they throw a hissy fit about it, that means everything should be banned. That's basically what it comes down to. You can't live and let live. It has to be gone. Either conform to our standards or you lose everything. That's what it comes down to, and that's why I am not going to stand for that. And I know you guys in the chat are not going to stand for it.
They tried something new. Meanwhile, with the AAA industry, is the same game over the top shoulder, over and over and over and over. You know, the same idea. You got like some craftable components. You got some XP farming that you put in a talent tree, which by the end of the game, you already unlock everything. Over the top, boring shit. And so you have the indie games that are at least trying something. They're trying to innovate. And of course, you know, they're going for the shock value. Because in a sea of shovelware, you need something to stand out.
Exactly.
You need a little bit of, you know, like, what if we have a little bit of extreme content in order?
In a sea of shovelware, you need something to stand out. In a sea of AAA, you need something to stand out. In a sea of roguelikes, you need something to stand out. Or else when everything becomes sanitized, nothing becomes unique. Nothing becomes stand out because everybody has to trip on eggshells. Or else they lose their funding. They lose everything. So I can't completely, as mad as I am for itch.io, you can't completely blame them because they're under the will, because they're at the will of the payment processors. If it wasn't up to the payment processors threatening them, they would keep those games on there. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how else to tell you, dude. This is why I've been very adamant about this, because it's not just criticizing. It's not just criticizing and name calling. They actively want these type of content to be banned. That if they find it problematic, they want it gone. That means nobody can enjoy it. It's the conformity that I have a serious problem with. Scott, thank you for the $5 super chat. Nice to see you stop by and say hi. Get somebody to say hi. We're still live. Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. Scott has been a long time member. I think he's been a member for 2 years at this point. So, Scott, love you, man. Thank you so much.
For people to talk about it. And then, you know, Asmongold actually makes a video and your game is successful. The thing is, like, this video game is also supposed to get the third part. Is it going to be allowed? Well, it depends on the platforms. Like, it still is on Steam, for instance. I guess Steam is willing to take the risk. itch.io is not willing to take the risk. They don't have the money and the resources of Steam. And we don't know if Steam is actually going to keep Fear and Hunger. My point is that I've been assured that this is just about pornography. Like, I've been told, you know, assurances have been given by people on Twitter. It's like, look, they're just going after pornography. They will not go after.
They go after good. Yeah, it's just going after the good games. Okay, this is what the slippery slope. This is what the slippery slope is all about. This is what the domino effect is all about. Because it starts with one thing, but then then they don't know when to stop. I'm still here, guys. The hell? Yeah, I'm still here. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They don't know when to stop, guys. You know the worst part about this hoopla? We've seen more comment like Logan Paul, and they'll be allowed to get away because no one's allowed to speak up. Exactly. That's why I'm fighting it. That's why I'm fighting against it, man. Because everything becomes sanitized. Because guess what? Guess what? Guess what? When everything becomes sanitized, you're gonna see more of this. You're gonna see more of this. You're gonna see more of it. This is all from Kyle, by the way. You're gonna see more of this. When everything becomes sanitized, you are definitely gonna see more of this. Yeah. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more hypocrisy. You're going to see, it's this right here. It's this right here. To sum up everything that's I've been talking about, is summed up in this one meme right here. Take a good look at it. That is exactly what this meme is. That's exactly what's going on right now. Just saying.
After any other video games, we know for sure. Like, how do we know? We have faith in Visa and MasterCard. Oh, so it's like a religion now. You have faith in them. Okay. Well, they did went after a game that's not pornographic. Like, no, I don't think there is a single person on planet Earth. Like, please correct me if I'm wrong. If you're one of the sick fucks, let me know. But I don't think there's a single person that masturbates to fear and hunger. Not a single one. Like, the purpose of the game is not sexual gratification.
Exactly.
It is an adult game because it treats adult subjects. I'm not saying children should play it. Absolutely not. But if you're an adult, there is no reason why this game should be considered illegal in any way, shape, or form. And if this game is illegal, well, I guess Postal should also be banned. Manhunt should also be banned. Like, the entire culture, there are entire genres of game, like Silent Hill, for instance. Right? Like, Silent Hill actually they did ban it, right? Like, there was a scene where Triangle Head is doing non-consensual stuff with one of the nurses, if I remember it correctly. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it was removed. Why? Well, now I know. It's not that the developers decided, oh, well, this thing is too edgy. No, they're probably looking at the list of TOS, and it's like, well, it's not allowed. And the sad part is the public is unaware of what's going on. The public actually thinks that the developers themselves decided that the scene shouldn't be allowed. And they're casting the blame on the developers when the blame should be solely placed on Visa and MasterCard. Anyway, right. Just wanted you guys to know what's going on. I would not be surprised if we see other video games being censored. And I would also not be surprised if other indie games are going to have a difficult time publishing because they're going to be afraid. Like, no one wants to invest $60,000 into an indie game and then not be able to even at least make half of the investment back.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm very much against all of this. And I'm going to bring this up more and more. And everybody who wants to, people who want to try to say that they're just only going after the prawn games, no, they're going after everything. They're going to go after everything. This is what the slippery slope is all about. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. It's going to be it for me. Like I said, if there's more, and you know what's going to happen? There's going to be more updates about this, about the censorship stuff, and I will be I will definitely be following. I will definitely keep a close eye on everything that's going on. So when there are updates, we will address it on the Wednesday video, on the Wednesday stream, and on the Friday stream, because this is nonstop at this point. I know. And what I'll do moving forward is we'll start having some palate cleansers, just so that way you guys aren't completely overwhelmed by all of this. Just let's just say all this negative shit that's going on, man. And this is important. Why, escapism is important. Escapism is important. Fiction is very important. Being edgy is very important, man. So that's why I'll speak up about this. So anyway, before we get out of here, let me show you. Let me pull the camera back and let me show you how Kiki looks, basically. So yeah, so that's the outfit I went for. That's the outfit I'm going for. So I'm already doing the line art. As you can see, I'm already doing the line art for it. And based on your guys' votes, I'll definitely turn that sketch into a work doodle. And you know what? At some point, even what I'm doing here is going to be problematic. So, just saying. It's more why I talk about it, man. Okay. Anyway, guys, you guys have been amazing. Every single one of y'all has been amazing. Smack that like button, make it jiggle. Smack that subscribe button, make it jiggle. Massive thank you to everyone in the CSF Nation. Let's see if we can get to 30 likes on this show. You know, let's see if we can get to 30 likes for this show. I really appreciate that, guy. Let's appreciate that, guys. Let's get this stream into the algorithm. Let's get this stream into the algorithm. Get people talking about it. So, in the words of the great Jellywig.
Dangerous. Let's up those numbers!
Up those numbers. Follow me on Newgrounds, Etsy shop, Twitter, links all in the description. I'll have some community posts up later. I did want to tune in. I did a little curious post yesterday, and I am genuine. It was nothing much. It was nothing. It was just something that I thought was curious about. And we have a total of 75 votes. 75 freaking votes. Just something a little curious, just something to think about. It's just a little something to think about, you know. Something to think about, you know, because, you know, one journey ends and another one's begins. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, guys. You guys have been amazing. I love y'all. And I will see you all later. I'm Makini 90, artist and illustrator. And until then, stay cute, stay sexy, have fun, take care, much love. Never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, apologize for wanting attractive women in your media, especially in your video games, because that is now more prevalent than ever. And that is even more, even they're going to take that away. Let's be honest, they're going to take that away too. So that's what I'm saying. Never apologize for wanting attractive women in your media, especially in your video games. Because they'll take something like this away too. Just saying. Thank you for this. Whoever made this one, I want to say thank you for this. I will use this meme forever. Even this will get taken away. If they have their way with it. And above all else, never stop drawing. Have a great rest of your Monday, guys. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for 3.4K subscribers. We're going to keep chugging along. 600 until the illustrious 4K. And let's make it happen. I love y'all. Peace.
Ah,